Did you fucking start?
I thought you were going to start.
No, I just said that you were going to start. Fucking hell.
This is why you work with professionals. It's happy hour somewhere. So welcome to Drinking Dusties, where we pop the cap on some really old bottles and see what is really good and what we're really excited we saved and what we should leave stored in the sands of time somewhere.
Absolutely.
I'm Charles Cox.
I'm Steve Russell.
And we should, before we start,
Right on the top.
Yep.
Let's mention a couple things. One, pretty simple, real simple actually. All it involves is the tip of your finger. Mash that subscribe button.
Mash.
It means a lot to us, honestly.
bill.
That's what this whole thing's about. Mash bill that button.
Exactly.
And then if you really like what we're doing,
which is free.
It's totally free. If you want to go a little beyond that, if you're cool, you can support us on Patreon, and you could get in the running, therefore, when we draw from our Patreon supporters, and we send out little sweet tasters of our actual Dusty bottles that we open on this show.
Not our Dusty Bodies.
Not our Dusty Bodies.
We don't send that out. Nobody wants
Trust us.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
But what you want is this delicious juice. We send every single episode.
Right.
We send one to a fan so you can enjoy it. It's pure bribery, so please support us.
We're going to obviously open one of those bottles here tonight. It's my turn for a bottle, I believe, on this episode.
Well, I thought it was my turn for a bottle.
No.
Okay.
I've got the.
All right. Okay.
No, I've got this really cool 1953 Canadian Club.
I have a Canadian Club right here. I thought I was doing the Canadian
I
Club.
thought I was the only person in the Canadian Club.
I'm the world's biggest wannabe Canadian.
That
this.
is totally
I've
true.
been made fun of this since I was a little kid.
But mine is cooler because it's from 1953.
Mine is cooler because I already opened it and tried it.
But even though he's done that, it's got more in it than my never opened 1953.
That is interesting.
Does.
Okay, yeah, let's put those side by side. Here, turn it sideways so they can see. So you see, like, his has never been opened. Double tack strips, totally
double
intact.
tack sip. It's totally sealed,
and yet half empty.
But about almost half empty.
So what do you think is the explanation for that?
Hell, I don't know. We find this all the time. We get bottles that look completely sealed and are half empty.
Do you think it was stored on its side and it just like leaked out? Maybe.
But
it's a screw top.
Yeah, there's a screw top, and there's no sign of any leakage out of this whatsoever. So it's just got a micro lack of seal and just the sheer amount of time.
So I would argue that we should taste mine instead of yours because I have more left in mine, and I've actually tasted it, so I know it's good.
I would argue we should open mine because it's older and therefore cooler.
And you're older,
and I'm older, and not any cooler. But also, I need to have an excuse to write this off of my taxes.
I need that too. So why don't we taste them side by side?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay. So, but we'll talk about your year, 53. But 53, 59, they should be similar.
They should be similar.
They're blended.
You can tell there wasn't a whole lot of variation on the. I mean, you can honestly find bottles of Canadian Club from the 70s that look pretty much exactly like this.
Yeah, they're both 6 years old.
Yep,
they're both
that's
from
important.
Hiram Walker and Sons in Windsor, Ontario, right?
Yeah.
Walkerville, Ontario, which had already been renamed as
proof
Windsor.
on these is so it's 6 year old, like you said. What's the proof on? 86. Yeah, that's a very common proof for that. So whatever. So here's the thing. I don't think Canada has history, so I don't know anything about these bottles.
Well, Canada doesn't have as much history as we do. At least not as much history of horrible violence.
There's that.
They actually were granted independence without firing a shot.
Oh.
But it also took them a lot longer to get there.
Do they just ask nicely because they're Canadian?
They apologized a lot. Sorry to all of my Canadian friends and family. You're lovely people. And your politeness is an asset, not a detriment.
It's true.
We just make fun of you a little bit, and then you'll apologize to us for us making fun of you.
But Canadian Club actually has kind of a cool history.
It does. So nowadays, it's a Canadian whiskey produced by a Japanese company because they're owned by Suntory Beam. They're actually the fourth largest alcohol product of theirs. Jim Beam, obviously, it's huge. Bourbon. There's DeKuyper cordials. That's the third one I'm forgetting. Sauza tequila. Yeah. Okay. So Canadian Club comes in fourth. But it was originally created by Hiram Walker and Sons. You see on the label, Hiram Walker and Sons, which was a company that actually started back in the 1800s in Detroit. So Hiram Walker he made cider vinegar. That was his first distilling in his grocery store in Detroit in the 1830s before he moved on to whiskey. Made his first barrels in 1854. Then he founded his distillery in Detroit in 1858. Okay. Could have been a huge success story for Detroit.
Right.
Over time, we knew eventually Detroit would have needed some success stories. Yes. But Prohibition was gathering
making other stuff.
Well, not at that point.
Yeah.
But Prohibition started gathering steam in Michigan way before it was nationally. Michigan became legally dry, so he had to bail from Detroit. He went across the river to Ontario and started his own like a worker community called Walkerville.
Right. On here.
Yeah. And so he paid for all the police service, the fire service, the water, like put in water systems, everything. So it was all created for his workers.
Company town.
Exactly. and then he would export it back to the U.S. Basically doing booze smuggling way before it became a thing during Prohibition. But his whiskey became really popular among gentlemen's clubs in the U.S. At the time. It was called club whiskey. It was Hiram Walker. And
so it's not called Canadian Club at this time.
No. Right. It's just Hiram Walker's whiskey. But people started to call it club whiskey, so they started putting that name on the label. Some American distillers, very jealous of his success, insisted that because it was Canadian being brought back into the U.S., that he should be required to put Canada on the label. Which he happily did. He put Canada on the label, and everybody sought it out because they knew his whiskey was better quality than other people. So then that became an identifying feature. He moved Canada down the label above where it said club whiskey and made it Canadian, and it just became Canadian Club Whiskey. And that's where the name came from. And it's just funny to me that it was meant to be a derogatory thing. They're like, oh, if he says Canada on it, nobody will buy it. Right. It's like, actually, we know that one's better. We're going to buy that. So by 1889 is when he put Canadian down there, and then by 1890 it was down with Canadian Club Whiskey was a lockup for the name. So he unfortunately died that same year, 1899, and his distillery passed to his sons. At one point, they employed basically the entire population of Walkerville, and the Canadian government acknowledged it as a legal town, and now it's called Windsor. It was reincorporated as Windsor in 1935. Oh, wow. During Prohibition, their biggest customer was a gentleman by the name of
Al Capone.
Al Capone, exactly. A Chicago gangster. He would smuggle thousands of cases of Canadian Club from Windsor to Detroit because they're right across the river from each other.
How convenient was that for, the Hiram Walker Company? Right. That, madness of Prohibition happens and they are just positioned right there.
Perfectly, by the border. Anybody who's been to that part of the U.S. knows it's just right across the bridge. Back then, just taking the boats across. But it's interesting that they were both the favorite whiskey of gangsters with Al Capone, but also Hiram Walker was the only North American distillery to get a royal warrant from the British royal family. So Queen Victoria, Edward VII, George V, George VI, and Elizabeth II all granted royal warrants to Hiram Walker to make whiskey. So still obviously in production in Windsor, Ontario, but Canadian Club, very different. Even in this era than it was back in the early days, but different today than it was back then.
Right. What about when this kind of became like, not just like, widely consumed in the U.S., but kind of like almost got its own hip kind of level, like in the in the 50s and the Mad Men
so era. This is why I love both of these years that we had. So this is like the Mad Men, or beginning of the Mad Men era, like especially 59, like going. So this Canadian Club was very popular on the show Mad Men. Don Draper drank it in his office, and did they have an ad campaign for Canadian Club, or was it just they drank it at work?
I don't know. I remember the scenes of like it would be on the table and he would drink when he was in meetings, but I don't remember if it was. So
it was incredibly popular during that time. Of course, blended whiskey, as we know, was becoming much more popular during that time, and American blended whiskey, as we knew from some of the ones we've had, like Four Roses, not so great then. The Canadian Club and other Canadian blended whiskeys offered a higher level of quality, at least, and how it was perceived at the time. But then, it really took off in advertising. They had a hide a case campaign that launched in the late 60s, early 70s. I think it launched in 67. Really brilliant campaign where they took a case of Canadian Club and they hid it. They hid these cases in different crazy places around the world. So one was on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, one was in the Swiss Alps, one was on Mount St. Helens, one was at Angel Falls.
Mountains.
Yeah, so the idea is that that people would have to go out and find it, like it was an adventure to go find it. Some of them were never found, or as far as we know, or they were found by teenagers and never reported. But to this day, I think there's still like 7 that have never been reported. They had a secondary campaign in 71, or a second time they did it, and they made them a little more accessible that time. Like one was on a skyscraper in New York, one was in Death Valley. But 22 cases in total were hidden, and 16 were recovered. But the one of their print ads for the time also inspired the whole entire pre-title sequence for the Bond movie, The Spy Who Loved Me in 1977. That all came from a Canadian Club print ad, that adventurous opening. So, they had a lot of great pop culture connections. But, there's one case in particular that was hidden somewhere above the Arctic Circle that has never been found.
Yeah, well,
interesting.
It's great dusty, guys. Go for it.
But maybe it was near where the Whiskey War took place. Do you know about the Whiskey War? Not to be confused with the Whiskey Rebellion.
I do not.
So the Whiskey War was between Canada, and Denmark.
Okay.
And Greenland, which is
in the news
a little bit today. But there was a territorial dispute. There's an island called Hans Island, which is between Greenland and Ellesmere Island. Ellesmere Island's Canada, Greenland, part of Denmark, at least at the time of this recording.
Okay.
So
Right.
there was an island that was revealed by melting ice, and it sort of fell in between their territories. So there was a dispute over who actually owned it, and their whiskey war was that the Canadian soldiers would go and plant a Canadian flag and leave a little bottle of Canadian whiskey. You could say that was to show that they possessed it, or so they left a bottle of Canadian Club, or it was a nice gesture to beat because they're Canadian, they're friendly, they're not going to shoot at anybody, they're going to leave you a drink. Sorry. So they left a bottle of Canadian whiskey for the Danes. The Danes came and they took the Canadian whiskey, took the Canadian flag out, put a Danish flag instead, left a bottle of schnapps and some food. So they kept going back and forth, leaving treats for each other instead of fighting.
It's a different kind of war.
Yeah, it's very. Maybe we could learn a lesson.
Yeah, maybe so.
But eventually, so that started in 1973.
Okay. Oh, really?
Kept going on years and years and years.
Wow.
No,
well after this.
Forget that late.
Yeah.
It didn't end until 2022.
Oh.
They finally decided to sign an official agreement where they split the island, and there was no longer any whiskey war going on in Hans Island. So
that's fascinating.
But it was Canadian Club that was the first whiskey that was offered. So.
All right, should we open these up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sorry, maybe it's time to drink these Dusties.
All right, are you going to open yours now?
Yeah, I'm going to open mine. I'm going to open this 1953. It's half empty for some reason.
Well, we should drink the same one at the same time.
Oh my god!
You need a man to open it for you?
Oh, jeez, you think it's a cork? Is it a cork? No, it's a straight cup, right?
Cup. Need some help? Do we need the pliers again?
I don't give it a shot.
You got the pliers over there if we need them. Wow. Yeah, yours is stuck.
All right, let me give it a shot.
It's not a good sign.
It's weird that it's like because it's not a crazy.
I'm coming up inside. Yeah. This happens sometimes with Dusties.
No, there we go.
There we go. That was weird. Maybe we're just really, really weak from all the whiskey we've been drinking.
Could be that, or it's just been closed for decades, so it doesn't. So we decided it did not want to be opened.
Could be that. Oh, the lining inside, which is luckily not foil, has come off. It could be if this wasn't sealed and it was on its side that it just gunked it up.
Yeah.
So anyway. There you go.
So I'm going to give this a good sniff.
Let's try the 53 first. Let's try yours.
Nothing wrong there. Not much smell to it.
All right.
Let's
pour. So this is 1953. So this is taking us back.
Yeah, well, let this breathe. I'll give
73 years.
Yeah, I'll give a little 53 history here.
But just take a moment to think about that. We're about to drink something that hasn't been open in 73 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It's always cool. It's always cool to realize that. 1953,
Mm-hmm.
World events. Dr. Jonas Salk announces the polio vaccine.
That helped us out, yeah.
The first Corvette rolls off the assembly line.
Yep. That was in 53, the first Corvette?
Yeah, like the two-seater Blue Flame is like 53.
Okay, cool.
Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay become the first known explorers to summit Mount Everest.
They were searching for a case of Canadian Club.
Yeah, absolutely. The Korean War ends.
Yep.
And just to tie in a little bit here, royal warrant and all that kind of stuff, Queen Elizabeth II is coronated.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Movies. Stalag 17, which is worth going back and watching if you hadn't done it in a while. It's kind of a different kind of, World War II movie. Marilyn Monroe is in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Story.
Yep. From Here to Eternity also.
Okay.
And at the first televised Academy Awards, The Greatest Show on Earth wins Best Picture.
Really?
But more fun, I think, is that the first color 3D film, The House of Wax, starring Vincent Price, is in theaters. It's the first color 3D film.
Movie. Right. Wasn't in Smell-O-Vision?
It might have also had one of those kind of things. On TV, popular shows include Dragnet and Candid Camera. But on I Love Lucy, hugely popular at the time, in the 50s, right? Yep. Lucille Ball, pregnant in real life, her character on the show gives birth to a baby,
and that was of course a scandal,
which was like it was just seen as like a new thing, like hadn't been done,
right.
It hadn't been done kind of thing,
And Candid Camera, that could be called the first reality.
I don't know that happened because didn't they sleep in separate beds in that show? So I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, no, it's a mystery to me. We'll have to get someone to
totally a
explain
mystery.
Yeah.
All right. So music, 53, right? Rock and roll has yet to drop like a youth culture A-bomb.
Right.
So the pop charts are topped by songs like April in Portugal and How Much Is That Doggy in the Window?
How much is that doggy in the window? So I can't believe there was a time when that was a hit song.
Seriously, it was like one of the top songs of the year. So country music was honestly cooler that year.
Right.
So you had Hank Williams that year doing Your Cheating Heart and Pauliga.
Oh wow!
In that year, so country music honestly was kicking the crap out of pop music that year.
Yeah, definitely.
Briefly on sports, the New York Yankees beat the Brooklyn Dodgers 4-2.
All New
so
York
you got a few
series,
years before the Dodgers decamp.
Yep.
And I thought this was kind of cool. I don't usually keep track of golf, but Ben Hogan that year, 53, won the U.S. Open, the British Open, and the Masters.
Wow, that's quite the triple crown.
That's quite
impressive.
the triple crown.
Okay.
So there you go. 1953, when this here bottle.
Very good year.
Let's go for it.
Nothing smells off.
That is not bad.
I would go so far as to say that's quite good.
Yeah.
It's not terribly complex, but there are definitely layers to it. It's sweet. It starts
sweet.
It starts really
it's
sweet.
Nicely sweet, though.
But more brown sugar than caramel, I'd say. But there's rye spices in there, even though I know Canadian whiskey not rye. In fact, some of them have no rye content at all, but it's got a little bit of spiciness to it. It's definitely corn. I think that's corn whiskey.
I think
mostly corn.
I think it drinks a little above its 80 proof.
Yeah, it's warm. Nice and warm.
It's nice and warm. It doesn't. No, it's not punching me in the face, but it's not. It doesn't taste watered. It doesn't feel watered down.
So I'm really glad that it's not, because it's not cloudy.
No, it's not cloudy.
Okay, I guess it's easier to see.
I should look for that. So half empty.
Because this bottle was half empty. Well, there's some small floaters in there, but nothing. It's that's kind of crazy. This was half empty, and that's quite good.
Nothing off about it. Like I said, I'm surprised. It has more character to it than I would have assumed of an 80 proof blended Canadian whiskey in 1953.
Now, where did you get this? And how much did you get it from?
Where the hell did I get this? Oh, I got this. I got this.
We can put it up on screen later if you don't remember.
No, I do remember. This was one of the first Dusties I ever got. I was after a couple of bourbon bottles, but this was on. I may have been drinking a couple of cocktails while I was watching the auction.
Was this the auction we were competing against each other?
Yes, it is.
That's where I got this one too. So we both got Canadian Club whiskeys in the same. We say auction like it was some big liquor auction. No, it was some estate sale company that was selling off the contents of like old storage units.
Yeah, it's just strictly storage unit.
Yeah, so I think I got mine for 36.
I think I got mine for right in there too.
Right.
I don't remember exactly at this point, maybe 40.
So that's a good place to get some cheap bottles.
So we bought a couple of these.
This is quite good.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Should we compare it to the 59?
Let's do. Let's do. I'm gonna take another slot of this though.
I'm gonna pour so I can have mine side by side and see if I can note any differences.
That's not bad. And of course, when we start drinking Canadian stuff, especially of this era, instantly my mind goes to the Shinley we had.
Right.
Which, I will say that I think the Shinley's has a little more character and depth.
Well, the interesting thing, the Shinley seemed to be, maybe because it called itself OFC, so it was worried. But the Shinley was trying harder to be a bourbon, I think.
Right, yes.
This isn't trying to...
No, the Shinley straight up profile was like a bourbon. Had higher proof, too, didn't it? I think the Shinley was a little bit older.
I think it was 90 proof, yeah.
It was 90 proof, and I think it was 8 years. Was that 8 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was labeled 8 on the bottle, so it was older.
But a little more time. I could see this whiskey at 90 proof and a couple of years older hitting that mark as well as that Shinley.
Quite good. I mean, if you like that sweet brown sugar... No.
So now we're 59. Now it's a rock and roll bottle, not rock and roll bottle.
Yeah, exactly. They smell so similar. Different.
Yeah, that's different.
What is that different note? Popcorn.
Okay.
I'm getting like a
sweet,
like caramel corn.
For me on the finish. For me on the finish is where it feels different.
That's so strange that it wasn't in the other one. Let me do that one again.
I feel like this tastes a little thinner. The 59 tastes a little bit thinner than the 53, just like a little bit.
I'll give you that. What is that little fruity note?
Yeah.
It's not citrus.
Mm-mm.
A grape? It's like a. There's a little bit of a.
I don't do this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Sandalwood.
Apricot.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. Well, look at you, Steve.
Now look at me.
You're growing up.
I'm growing up.
You're giving notes.
I'm getting just as pretentious as most whiskey drinkers.
Well, because you're right. It is pretentious. But you also have to fish for what is different.
Right.
This is a perfect exercise. Yeah. These whiskeys are so similar, but there is a noticeable difference between them.
Right.
What exactly?
Which is interesting because even
Apricot's perfect,
6 years apart, these are still part of massive blends, massive, huge tanks of whiskey.
It is apricot.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
or apricot. As you said.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so it's interesting to me that when you get to blends of this size to put out years of Canadian Club, that you can still detect differences, and that's what's beautiful about whiskey.
And what's beautiful about these Dusties in particular, I would say, we spend a lot of time searching for Dusties, especially at auctions. We buy some. There's dozens. For every one we buy, there's dozens that we wish we could buy, but the price is ridiculous.
Quit outbidding us.
Yeah,
just stop
just
it.
listen to it. No, but this is a great value for Dusties.
Sure.
These are great whiskeys.
Yeah,
they're not going to blow you away with their nuance, but they're better than a lot of the stuff we've had. And $35 to $40 if you find it.
To be able to pull these out and talk about them, and
watch some Mad Men. Go to the top of Kilimanjaro to search for a case. So it's really good.
Since this is a blended whiskey.
Now tell me what the difference.
So now it's a 56.
I thought you couldn't do math. I'm very impressed.
I worked it out ahead of time.
Yeah, I ain't mad at either of these. These are great. Mine's better. I like that apricot note.
You want ice?
No, I think these are perfect without it. Plus, I use the wimpy glass that can't fit in my
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. No, I would drink this.
Which do you prefer?
I did like the 53 just a hair better.
I like that. I like them both. I like that fruit, that apricot note. That's interesting.
I like that apricot note too. But I thought this just had a little I felt like this was a slightly more diluted than this. I felt like this had that's why I'm veering toward it. I do like the flavor of this a lot, but I felt like this. I was so surprised by this not being feeling watery at all.
Yeah, I will say this is one of the most common bottles we see in auctions, especially estate sales, stuff like that. Beyond Seagram's.
Yeah, because people bought this by the case.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to take a flyer on one of these. These are good bottles.
Not.
This is great. If you see Canadian Club from the 50s, 60s era, that's a good buy.
Yeah,
that's a good buy.
I mean, you're never gonna, like I said, it's not gonna. I wouldn't go nuts and pay a whole lot of money for it, but it's just fun to be able to pull this out of a bottle from the 50s that you can get for sub $100.
Yeah, especially if you're drinking with somebody who's
honestly you can buy these off Unicorn sometimes for less than $50.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah,
not to promote a specific.
Not to promote a specific. I'm just saying that's where everybody goes.
Yeah. No, these are great. I really enjoyed these. Thank you, Steve, for stealing my thunder and having a Canadian Club. But hey, I busted mine at the same time. But we're gonna make sure you subscribe. Yeah. Please mash that subscribe button. Also, if you support us on Patreon, we will be sending these to a fan.
Which one will you get, the 53 or the 59?
Maybe we'll be especially generous and send them both together,
Maybe
like we did with the Jim Beam.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll see. But I really enjoyed these.
Yeah, absolutely.
These were good. Yeah. So subscribe, support us on Patreon, and be sure to join us next time. We'll open up another one and see how it goes.
Yep. So keep it dusty.
I was going to say until that time.
Until that time. Talking about your like you're over there.
Keep it dusty. Yep. Skull.
Cheers, guys.
The apricot one's better. That was great.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.